Page 147. After what happened to LaRue? I asked in disbelief. You whack. It's good money, Terrell said. Big step up. You'll get yourself killed. That's the chance you take, Terrell said, as if it meant nothing. We got up to his apartment. Mrs. Blake wasn't there, but Lakita and two guys were. The TV was on, and the table and floor were covered with bottles and ashtrays full of cigarette butts. Lakita and her friends wore stained, ragged clothes and looked glassy-eyed. Give me some money, Lakita said languidly, as if she knew he wouldn't. Terrell ignored her and went down the hall. His room had a new metal door secured with 2 padlocks. It was already dented and scratched, as if someone had tried to break through. I didn't have to ask who. Terrell undid the locks. Inside was a flat-screen TV and a new sound system. New clothes with tags still on them were scattered around. I thought sitting on the bench didn't pay, I said, taking it in all the swag. Not till I figured out the system, Terrell answered slyly. I skim a little off each bag of weed and every vial of rock. 5 bags becomes 6. Same with the vials. End of the day, the money from the extras is all mine. Marcus know? I asked. Probably, only no one talks about it. An open bag of peanuts lay on the desk. Terrell saw me eyeing it. Take as much as you want. The cousins is always sending us more. I took a handful and we left the apartment and walked to King Chicken. It was dinner time and the place was filled. We got in line. The scent of fried chicken made my stomach grumble. I was studying the menu when a commotion started in a booth where a heavy lady sat with 3 shorties. One of the shorties had tipped over a supersized soda, spilling it all over the table and floor. Raydell! The white-shirted manager called back into the kitchen. Get the mop! When Lightbulb came out of the back wearing black pants and a stained white shirt with the tails hanging out, Terrell and I were taken by surprise. He pushed a yellow bucket with a wooden broom handle sticking out of it. Seeing us, he stopped and grinned. Hey! How long you been working here? Terrell asked. About a month, Lightbulb said. What about school? I asked. Before Lightbulb could answer, the manager yelled, Raydell, did I say you could talk to your friends? Lightbulb hurried toward the booth and started mopping. Meanwhile, the heavy woman pointed at the seats and started giving orders. What about that there? She asked irately, as if the spilled soda had been Lightbulb's fault. I'll get it. Lightbulb hurried into the kitchen and returned with a rag to wipe the seats. And that, the woman pointed at the plates, cups, and buckets sitting in a sea of soda on the table. Lightbulb started wiping the soda off the table, but as he did, it began spilling onto the floor and seats again. Watch what you're doing, fool! The woman yelled. Her yelling flustered him. By now, almost everyone in King Chicken had paused to watch. In a panic, Lightbulb swiped the towel across the table, splashing soda onto the woman's son's pants and shoes. Now look what you've done! The woman shrieked. The commotion brought the manager out from behind the counter. What's the problem, ma'am? This fool's making a mess all over again, the woman complained. He got soda all over my son. She pointed at her son's pants, which were practically soaked with soda from spilling the supersized cup in the first place. You did that? The bewildered manager asked Lightbulb. No, sir, Lightbulb stammered. You calling me a liar? The woman bellowed. No, ma'am. I'm sure he's just mistaken, the manager quickly said. I'll be glad to replace any food that was spoiled. Why don't you take a seat over there? He showed her an empty table, then said to Lightbulb, as soon as you finish cleaning up this mess, I want to see you in the back. Lightbulb hung his head like a scolded puppy. He finished wiping and mopping and went into the back. I hated the way they treated him. I hated seeing someone so smart working such a lousy job, but I was hungry and it was our turn to order. I got a big bucket of chicken with some sides of mashed potatoes. Terrell got a meal to go and paid for everything. We headed back toward Douglas. Guess you could always get a job at King Chicken, Terrell said with a chuckle. Page 151, No Choice. Back home, I was a big hero. Grandma, Nia, and I sat around the TV and dug in hungrily while the twins played on the floor. The funny thing was, the 3 of us together, Couldn't finish that one bucket of chicken. I guess that's how much our stomachs had shrunk from hunger. After dinner, I headed upstairs. As I climbed, I thought about Lightbulb being yelled at in King Chicken. I thought about Tanisha and the smelly mattress we had to share in that drafty, cold building. I thought about school, where kids spent all day clowning and socializing, most of them there only because there was no place else to go. I thought all about the pregnant girls having babies. I thought all about the gangbangers living for the minute because they might be dead in an hour. The people who sat around tables on TV, wearing suits and talking cracker English, might say there was a choice. The teachers who came for a year and then disappeared forever might want to think there was a choice. The politicians looking for excuses to get on TV might want people to believe they were going to give folks like us a choice. But everyone knew the truth. There was no choice. Not when the only world you knew was the projects. Upstairs, Jules was sitting on the steps, the sawed-off rifle across his lap, with his chin in his hand, looking bored. "What do you want?" "Marcus here?" I asked. "He's busy." "Tell him it's Deshawn." One of Jules' eyebrows went up and the other went down. "So?" "You don't tell him, I will." I started to go around him. Jules sprang to his feet and aimed the rifle at me. I stopped, but I didn't feel scared. I was sick of people aiming guns at me. I was sick of not having money and being hungry at the end of each month. I was sick of being alone in the world and being the man of the house with an ailing grandma and a widowed sister with 2 babies and having a girlfriend I could only see on the down low. "You gonna shoot me?" I asked, and realized part of me almost wished he would put me out of my misery. "I told you he's busy," Jules said. "And I'm telling you I don't care," I said, and continued past him. "Don't," Jules said, keeping the gun trained on me. "I saved your sorry ass twice," I said, and kept going. "You ain't shooting me." Jules followed. "Marcus is going to kill you for bothering him, and he's going to kill me for letting you." Music was coming from inside Marcus's apartment. I rapped my knuckles hard against the door. Jules hung back as if to stay clear of whatever mayhem was about to come. There was no answer. I knocked again and glanced at Jules. It seemed like his grip on the rifle had gotten tighter. "Don't get nervous and accidentally pull that trigger," I said. "You don't know what you're doing," he hissed. I knocked again, this time harder and longer. I heard a door bang inside and then the thud of footsteps across the floor. "Who's there?" Marcus's voice was loud and annoyed. "Deshawn." There was a moment of silence. Then bolts on the other side of the door clinked. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Jules take another step back. The door swung open, and Marcus stood there bare-chested, with bare feet, and his big black gun in his hand. It looked like he'd taken just enough time to pull on a pair of pants, but not enough time to buckle the belt. Behind him, a woman wrapped in a white sheet stood in the bedroom doorway. Marcus scowled at me, then turned and glowered at Jules. "I tried to stop him," Jules stammered. "I swear." "He did," I said, "but I told him he'd have to shoot me." Marcus's thick eyebrows dipped. He told Jules to go back to his post. I took a white envelope out of my jacket. With a frown, Marcus slid the gun into his waistband. He blinked, almost as if he'd forgotten about it. "Never told a soul, did you?" "No, sir." I held it out for him to take. "You said it couldn't be kept by a disciple." Marcus stared at me for a moment. "You sure?" "Uh-huh." "All right, but you can keep that. But—" A crooked, knowing smile broke through his lips. "Open it." I did as I was told. Except for the $50 and the $100 bill he'd shown me the day he'd given it to me, the rest of the bills were all ones. It took me a moment to understand. It had been a test. "Stay here." Marcus went back into the apartment, then returned. "Turn around." A string of black and white beads went around my neck, and Marcus tied them in the back. It reminded me of the day he tied my tie. "Come back in an hour and we'll talk." Downstairs in our apartment, Grandma and Nia were watching TV. My sister had the twins beside her, both sucking hungrily at bottles of sugar water. I gestured for her to join me in the kitchen and gave her the $100 bill from the envelope. Mia's eyes widened. "Where'd you get this?" I pulled down the neck of my t-shirt and showed her the beads.